right, everyone. Today we are back with a really fun episode, I think. And if you're familiar with the Old Republic podcast at all, you know that we are big fans of Knights of the Old Republic, and therefore, you could probably deduce that we are big fans of video games in general. And we are joined today by a very excellent YouTube gaming channel. Does playthroughs, live streams, a whole KOTOR series, Star Wars things, all sorts of good stuff. But we're joined today by Ragebox. Ragebox, how are you doing?
Hey, howdy, hey, how's it going, guys? Great to be here.
Absolutely, we are doing great, and we are excited to have you on, and dip our toes into kind of this video game streaming online world that you have going on here. So, like I mentioned, kind of on your channel, if you look at it, there's all sorts of stuff. And if you go to the About page, and it's just Ragebox, YouTube.com/Ragebox, you can go there. You can see like all the schedule of things that you do, and you do a lot of really fun stuff. It looks like you do like Star Wars Wednesdays. It looks like Final Fantasy Fridays. You have all sorts of sort of things going on, and you've just recently also, in addition to all the video game stuff, started a podcast. So I guess just kind of generally, how did you get the channel started? What were kind of your goals? How has it changed? Just kind of a brief history of the Ragebox YouTube.
Well, it all started back in, I think, about 2011. It's been a while. And I was just a regular kid on the internet like anybody, just looking at Let's Plays, like the early Let's Plays, the first ones that people started doing. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to get into that, but I didn't know what I was doing back then. But gradually over time, I looked into it, I did my own research, I kind of self-taught myself how to record and use programs to edit software and whatnot. And just started doing, my first Let's Play was actually KOTOR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the very first one. I'm doing a redux of that now. Like the KOTOR Let's Play I'm doing currently is like a redo, because that one, being it's my first one, is pretty low quality, right? And pretty cringy. Not gonna lie, some of the jokes in there just I look back and I'm like, oof. So I had to redo it. But yeah, so I just got started because just from seeing other people doing Let's Plays and whatnot, kind of inspired me to want to do the same thing, just like kind of as a hobby at first, and I've been trying to get out there, make it like a full-time thing, but it's it's tough. So
sure. Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it's really cool that you got started doing it on KOTOR. Were those kind of your introduction to video games, or I guess how did you first like get into video games? Was it something you played like growing up, or you got into like older in like the computer space more, or how'd you first get into video games, I guess? Yeah,
video games I started when I was about maybe 6 years old. My very first video game I ever played was Crash Bandicoot on the PS1.
Oh,
okay.
That's cool.
Yeah,
brings back some Uncharted 4 memories.
Yeah, Naughty Dog, they're great. I remember the day I found out Naughty Dog did Uncharted, I was like, wait, that's the guys that did Crash Bandicoot? Like, really? That's crazy. But anyway, so playing Crash, and then Spyro, and Twisted Metal, and just all the classic PS1 stuff. I wasn't really a Nintendo kid at all. Like, all I really played was PlayStation. And so I played, like, just about every classic PlayStation game that you can imagine. And that's part of the reason I do PlayStation Saturdays, is because I like to I know my way around the whole PlayStation genre, I guess. So, but yeah, I just got started with that. Like, just one day picked up a PS1 and for Christmas I think I got it, Crash Bandicoot, and the rest is history. But mostly PlayStation, and then I moved on to like Xbox, and and everybody's like, you never really played Legend of Zelda? You never played Mario? I'm like, no, I just never got into it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I remember getting the PlayStation. I'm a little bit older, so I was working my first part-time job. I was working at McDonald's, and I remember I got my first paycheck, and it was enough to cover the PlayStation 1. So I bought that, and my parents said, if you buy the PlayStation, we'll buy you a game. So I got Final Fantasy VII. They got for me, but I didn't factor into the finances required for a memory card. So like the first 2 weeks I had it, I just literally played like the first 20 minutes of Final Fantasy VII just over and over again.
People used to leave it running. Like, they would leave it just running all night long. I had friends that did that because they didn't have the money for a memory card, so they would just leave their games running, and then my one friend, he was like 80 hours into a game. Maybe not 80 hours. He was pretty far into a game, and the power went out. He was so pissed, dude.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. And I mean, way back to, you said Legend of Zelda. Well, that had save files, but yeah, on the Nintendo, you'd have to leave them running. You'd like unplug it from the TV so your parents wouldn't know that it was still turned on, and you could just go and plug it back in to keep it going.
That's how they get extra money out of you with the memory cards back in the day,
That's right. Oh yeah, for sure.
And then when the Xbox came along, it had the memory card built in. Remember the original Xbox, how it had like a hard drive in it? That like blew my mind. Like you can't understand how much that blew my mind. That I was like, wait, I don't got to buy a memory card? Like, holy crap!
Was the PS3 memory cardless?
I believe so. Yeah. Every because that became the standard. Like once Xbox did it, nobody else could do it. Like because you know what I mean. Like that just became like the standard thing to do, was to have a hard drive built into the system. So
yeah.
That's right, yeah. And now on the current gen, you have the hard drives on there, and they're just big enough to hold like your install file for whatever game you're playing. So they get eaten up. But that's
Call of Duty taking up everything, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's awesome though, and I think that's a fun way, and it's awesome that you got kind of into this, and you kind of taught yourself how to do all these things, and now your channel's gotten pretty large, and you're doing all this really fun stuff. So when you sit down to do like a stream, like one of your Patreon streams, or like a kind of a let's play kind of a thing, what do you like about that? Is it getting to interact with the fans, or is it literally just playing the video game? What part of it do you find the most enjoyable, I guess?
I would say like sharing my love for gaming in general, that's kind of why I do the whole channel, honestly. But getting to interact with people live while I'm playing, like meeting people, new people who they'll come into the stream because they like the game I'm playing, and like they'll give me tips and whatnot. Because sometimes I'll be playing a game that I haven't played before. And they'll come in and they'll give me tips and whatnot, and that's always fun. Just like meeting new people, and like I said, in general, just sharing my love for gaming with people. That's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And it looks like you mentioned you started with KOTOR and the Final Fantasy. Are RPGs kind of your preferred game genre, or what other kind of genres of games do you like?
Definitely RPGs are up there. I also like shooters. I'm a big shooter person. And any kind of action adventure genre is always great. Like I really enjoyed like Jedi Fallen Order. That was a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. What about you, Cassia? I think I know the answer because you're a big Uncharted fan. But what are some of your favorite video game genres? KOTOR is its own genre. We hold that in high esteem. But
yeah. I guess when I first got my gaming station, like I was a big Harry Potter fan. Obviously, was always a big Star Wars fan. So played a lot of Harry Potter games.
Did you play the PlayStation 1 Harry Potter game? Because that was my shit back in the day. I must have beat that like 50 times.
It was more, I got that one on computer, and then PS2 I got Chamber of Secrets. And, but I did go to someone's house and play, the PlayStation 1 Sorcerer's Stone, and like Hagrid did not look good on the PlayStation 1.
PS1 Hagrid is a staple though.
Yeah.
That's right. He's just composed of 4 triangles. It's pretty epic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did love Uncharted, and I saw the Uncharted movie this year, and now I just kind of don't really have a whole lot of time to play, ironically, even though we talk about KOTOR like every week.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, same for me, really. And I do try to play more video games now than I have previously, but, I'm kind of in the same boat, so I'll go online and, go to someone like you, Ragebox, like your channel, and watch a playthrough or a let's play there, so I kind of, can get some feeling for the story, the way that the game plays, and kind of experience that, communally, as now, everything's onto the internet. We're not, sitting down on the couch with our friends playing video games. You're doing it kind of in this online space. So I think that's pretty cool, and it's awesome to get an audience together, and neat that they can, kind of come in and share that with you.
It's kind of about like community building too. Like I really like to try to build up the community and get people talking and our Discord and stuff like that. That's always fun. And that's another thing I never even thought about when I started, was giving people, like, a chance to, like, if they don't have time to play a game, like you just said, but it's like they can watch me instead. And it's like, that's like another, I guess, part of it that I didn't even, like, initially think about when I started, doing it, but...
Yeah, definitely. And just as for me, my favorite kind of game genres are, those action adventures, Uncharted, Fallen Order. Those are probably my new current sort of favorite game genres. Of course, RPGs, although as we just mentioned, the time that makes those a little bit of a challenge. But I'm old school. I like the old school, like, point and click adventures. So that's what I'm more inclined to play. If I'm going to sit down and do that, I'll revisit like one of those from my childhood. I just recently played through Full Throttle on my own Twitch channel, which is very fledgling. You should not come watch it. You should go watch Boxman and don't watch me. But I just played through that. So it's pretty fun. So as I mentioned, I'm just kind of starting to dip my toe in it a little bit. I have no real ambitions other than it's just an excuse for me to actually sit down for an hour or two and play video games every once in a while. But anyone else out there who's listening who might like to do this a little bit more in a professional capacity, like yourself, Ragebox, do you have any, like, tips on how to get started, or tips or tricks, I guess, for the general audience?
Yeah, definitely. These are the things that I learned. The first is to do the research, like, look up what you should be doing, like, as far as equipment. Like, you don't. I see so many people, they'll start streaming, and it'll be like from their PlayStation 3 or something, or their PlayStation 4, and it's like the lowest quality thing possible. Now, another tip I have, though, is just start streaming. Like, just get out there and just start doing it. But as you're doing it, you gotta go for quality. At the end of the day, you gotta really be trying to up your game up, because so many people I'll see, they'll just be streaming like a low quality stream for years. Like, one person I know, I always tell him, but he just doesn't listen. He just streams from his PS4, and he really doesn't get anybody watching him. That's fine if that's not, like, if you're not going for trying to build an audience and all that, then that's one thing. But if you're trying to build an audience and you want to be serious about it, do the research, get the equipment, like, get a microphone that's, like, decent quality, webcam, whatever, and get the proper programs, OBS, all that stuff, and just do that research, get that set up. Test your audio levels. There are a lot of people I'll come into their stream and I can't hear them over the game audio. And I'm like, hey, I can't hear you. Like, I'll tell them too, so they could, like, fix it up. But you gotta, like, you know what I mean? Like, the littlest things can be off, and it messes with the quality so much. No one's gonna stay. Like, they'll come in, they'll leave, and you just won't build an audience. And another tip, play games that you enjoy. Don't play something that, like, you hate because somebody else wants you to play it, or because you think it's, like, the popular game right now, so you got to play it. Don't do that if you don't enjoy that game, because it's going to affect how you talk to the audience when you're streaming and how you play, and it's just all around not going to be good.
Okay.
And another tip, this is one of my favorite tips. When you're first starting off, for a long time, you're going to have no viewers. Like, you're not going to have anybody. It'll be a big old zero. But you have to talk like you have 100 viewers watching you all the time. Like, all the time, never be quiet, never be silent. There should never be, like, more than 10 seconds of silence. Because if somebody does come in and you're just sitting there silent playing a game, more than likely they're going to leave. So if you're constantly chatting up about what's going on in the game or whatever, even just talking to yourself, somebody comes in, they might say something to you, you talk back to them, and then what do you know, you got a viewer now, and then another person comes in. So it's kind of like a snowball thing you want to go. And for my final tip of this spiel is, of course, the corny classic, never give up. If you're serious about it, it could take a year, it could take 2 years, it could take a while, but just don't give up, because eventually you'll start to build the audience, and, like, you'll have a community going. So just, a lot of people, they'll start streaming, and after a week or two or a month of not having anyone, they'll just give up. And then, so it's like, the dream's dead, but just don't give up, because it'll happen. It'll happen eventually with enough perseverance and consistency.
Yeah, so. Definitely, for sure. And yeah, you talk about that kind of persistence, and that's kind of the same here that we've faced, like in the podcast field. It's just about being consistent and being out there and doing it, and eventually kind of that following will come. But yeah, you just at the start you just can't. You have to do it because you love it, and then just keep going with it. And speaking of podcasts, that's something that you just started on your channel. I think you just did your 3rd episode talking about Obi-Wan. How did the podcast come into being? Was it just you wanted to talk just kind of outside of the video game realm, or just talk more about Star Wars, or how did
I wouldn't say it's out of the video game realm, because a lot of what we discuss is Star Wars video game related stuff, or just Star Wars in general, but it's meant to be a Star Wars podcast, but just kind of like the broader scope of Star Wars, like whatever's going on, we'll chat about it. But I kind of just want to do something new, that's all. I just want to bring something a little fresh to the channel, because while I do have a decent amount of subs, I have been kind of stagnant for the past few years. Like, I only get, like, maybe 100 subs a month, and that's not great. That sounds good, maybe to some people, but that's really not that great. So, I'm just trying to dip my toes into different things and, try it out, see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, and I think that's good, and it's always good to have an outlet to talk about the things that you like. I know, Cassio, we do like the Inspired a Galaxy stuff, just because we, sometimes want to branch out a little bit, and just, kind of dip our toes in other things, and, just kind of scratch that creative itch, and, it gives you an outlet to do it. And I think that's awesome. And why don't we stay on Star Wars? One of the things you do on your channel is you do something it's called Star Wars Wednesdays, which is awesome because you're just playing Star Wars games during those time, and of course Knights of the Old Republic, being the king. But we love pretty much all of the Star Wars games. So when did you first get into Star Wars? You mentioned KOTOR was your first stream, but into the movies, or like the EU books, or the video games. How did you first get into this crazy Star Wars universe?
Well, the first time I ever saw anything Star Wars, I was about 8 years old, and it was a commercial for the Phantom Menace, and it showed like the pod race and everything, and that hyped me up. It looked so cool. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see this movie. Like, just that one commercial got me hyped as hell. So I told my parents, I'm like, hey, like Star Wars, like I want to see it. So of course they got me the original trilogy on VHS.
Did you get the
whole original trilogy,
or
right?
Gold one.
Well, I don't remember.
Okay.
I do not remember. But it was on VHS, and this was like 1999. So I watched the whole thing through, and I loved it. Of course, I loved it. But the whole time, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, where the hell is this pod race scene? I'm like, where's the pod race? Like, this is what I wanted to see. This, like. So then I find out, it has to come out in theaters, and by the time I found out, Phantom Menace was already out, and it was done. I didn't get to go to the movies when I was a kid, because I was too busy watching the original trilogy over and over and over again, looking for the pod race scene. So anyway, finally got episode 1 when it came out on VHS, watched it, loved it, bought the video game. I had the episode 1 video game. You remember that one?
Yeah.
For the PS1. That was the first Star Wars game I ever played.
Okay.
And I love that game to death. I don't care what anybody says. I love the crap out of that game. I used to go on murder sprees with Qui-Gon and Tatooine, like, just all day long. That's all I would do. That game was so great. So yeah, just that commercial started it all, and yeah, I loved all the movies, but honestly, I got to say Phantom Menace. A lot of people have some hate for the prequels, but not I. I love them, and Phantom Menace is probably my favorite Star Wars movie. Phantom Menace and Episode 5 are kind of tied, but yeah.
Okay, that's pretty fantastic. We've talked to a lot of people on the podcast, and talked to them about how they got into Star Wars. And Episode 1 is the entry point for a lot of people, but I've never heard someone's entry point was the commercial for Episode 1, and then you didn't even see it for like a year after. That's pretty great. That's pretty great. I love that. The Episode 1 game, that was really cool. Had that on the PlayStation as well. I'd been into Star Wars games for a while, kind of up until that point. So yeah, I don't have quite the nostalgic feelings for the episode 1 game, but it was still pretty fun.
Yeah.
When you start up, you're on the Trade Federation ship there, and yeah, you're just going to town with the lightsaber. That's always pretty good.
You can kill so many NPCs in that game that like you wouldn't expect to be able to kill. Like you could just like kill, and you could kill your own. Like, you could kill Anakin. Like, when you see Anakin on Tatooine, you can kill him. If you do, a like, error message will come up saying Anakin has died, and you gotta restart the level. But it's just the mere fact that you can even do it is so funny.
You can do it. That's right. And if that happened in a video game now, people would lose their minds because the video game wouldn't be canon then. In that case, so that's pretty good. So we have episode 1. You streamed KOTOR. What are some of your other favorite Star Wars games? We mentioned briefly Jedi Fallen Order, which was great. Looking forward to the sequel coming out here later this year. I think is the last we've heard about that.
I believe so.
But what about anything else or any kind of standouts from Star Wars Wednesdays? If people are going back through your channel, favorite ones that you like to either play or to stream, ones people should check out, or what are some of your favorites?
Like my favorite? You mean like my favorite Star Wars games in general?
Yeah.
I would say my top 5 are of course KOTOR 1 and 2, Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah.
The Force Unleashed, and Republic Commando. Those are the top 5.
Okay.
I would but after playing Dark Forces, because that's what I'm currently playing through now for Star Wars Wednesdays. After playing those games, I'm still going through Dark Forces 2. I'm almost done, but after playing those, I might replace something in that top 5 list with the Dark Forces series, because those games are like gems. Like, I wish I had played them sooner, because this is my first time playing them for Star Wars Wednesdays, but yeah, they're really good games.
Those are the Kyle Katarn ones, right?
Yes, yep. My boy Kyle, dude, he's awesome. I really wish I would have played them sooner. They're so good.
Yeah, I remember back when the Dark Forces games came out, because it was like the Star Wars like take on kind of that Doom, the first person shooter, so it was kind of the first foray into that. Yeah, and that was a big deal, and those games are pretty great, and yeah, it's making me nostalgic. I want to get back in and play those. But Cassia, what about you? KOTOR 1 and KOTOR 2, of course, off the table, but any other favorite Star Wars games or memories growing up?
Let me think. I really did enjoy the Bounty Hunter where you were Jango Fett. It was a unique.
That's one of the first games I played for Star Wars Wednesdays, actually. That was a good game, it really was.
I thought it was a great use of the jetpack, and it came out like 2002, I want to say, so it was pretty well done for the time. And then Battlefront 1 and 2, the originals, grew up on those. I was sad there wasn't a Battlefront 3.
Yeah, just like KOTOR 3. It's just a shame.
Yeah. And then The Force Unleashed 1, and then I'll basically count The Force Unleashed 2 as like a DLC.
Yeah, right.
It just seemed a bit rushed.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, the Star Wars games can be hit or miss, but like, it's kind of like that with Harry Potter. Like, I would always just like love playing the Harry Potter games, love playing the Star Wars games, and all that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I never played The Force Unleashed. I did order the limited run version of it, so I am going to have to eventually break down and play it. But yeah, I've never played it, but I am starting to go back.
It is so good. You got to get on it like ASAP, because that story, the Force Unleashed story, I like that better than Rebels. Like, if I could choose between the two canons, I would say Force Unleashed, because it's basically the story of how the rebellion got started. But it has Galen Merrick in the middle of it, and I won't spoil nothing for you. But it's really good. You definitely need to play that.
Okay.
Play it on your channel or stream it, dude. Stream it. I'll come to the streams and watch you play it.
Yeah, there you go. You'll watch me play it terribly, no doubt. But yeah, no, that sounds great. I definitely want to get into it. I just when it came out, like I was just out of the video games, so I wasn't into those. So yeah, that's good. Republic Commando, that's a lot of fun. I am terrible at that game. Terrible at it. It might be because I'm trying to play it on my. It's probably because I'm trying to play it on my Switch. I don't know if that's the optimal way to be playing it. Probably not. But
probably not. No.
but but it's pretty fun, and I do like that the games are coming to the Switch because it's an easy way to kind of pick up and play, especially those older games that you might have missed, stuff like that. Force Unleashed are coming through there, so yeah, it's definitely a good renaissance. And yeah, that 2005, I think it was, the Battlefront 2, that was the best like couch co-op game of all time, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah. I've had many a great LAN party with that game. What did you think, though? Speaking of the Switch, what did you think about the recent the bug with the KOTOR 2 release and all that? Like, what did you think about all that?
I thought that it was unfortunate that it happened, but it seemed like Aspire kind of acknowledged that it was there pretty quick, and they got the patch out pretty quick to fix it. I think it's just something that slipped through, because the port for KOTOR 1 is really good, and
it was.
It's probably a lot to do with, I know they're trying to do the restored content part of that, so I don't know if it just kind of got overlooked, or the way that it was playing as they were trying to do, kind of the version they pushed out and then working in the restored content portion. So I think it was just an oversight, but I think that Aspire did a really good job in the way that they handled it. Had it been, EA done it, they would have been like, "What are you talking about? A bug? Don't worry about it." So
yeah.
So I was okay with it, but I mean that stuff happens, I guess, especially now. I mean, kind of the general theory is that if you buy a game right when it comes out, you're getting the worst version of the game. So I think
I hate that. I really do hate that.
So, but yeah, right. I was happy with the way, like I said, they kind of acknowledged that they messed up and got it fixed. It seemed like fairly quickly. So, yeah, I don't know, kind of anything beyond that. So I have faith in them, and like I said, I've liked all of the other ports that they've done. Despite being bad at the Republic Commando, the port of that seems pretty good. They're on the Switch and stuff too. But speaking of KOTOR 2 or KOTOR in general, you said that it was your first stream, kind of back when your channel was getting started. When did you play it for the first time? Did you play it on the Xbox? Did you play it on the PC? Or did you play it, like on Steam later? How did you kind of get into KOTOR, I guess?
It was on the Xbox. It was at a friend's house. Yeah, well, I really didn't have a problem with it, but yeah, that was it.
We didn't know any better back then, though.
Yeah, I didn't have a computer back. I had a computer, but it was like an E-Machines old ass, like could barely run SimCity 2000 computer. So there was no way it was going to run KOTOR back then. There was no way in hell. Mm-hmm. But so I went over to my friend's house one day after school, and he was playing it, and I didn't know what it was, and he was like, "Yeah, this is a Star Wars game that just came out," and I'm like, "This is a Star Wars game?" I'm like, "Hello?" Like, you're talking to people in dialogue, like it's Morrowind or something. Like, what's going on here? So I thought it was amazing. So I had to get it, and I didn't get it till Christmas that year, and just played the living bejesus out of it did like months straight, like just months and months straight. I can't. It was just. It's my favorite game of all time now. Besides maybe Legend of Legaia, which is a JRPG. I don't know if you ever heard of it. But,
okay.
That and KOTOR are my two favorite games of all time. I don't know if I could ever choose between the two, honestly, but yeah, just KOTOR is a great game. So that's the rest is history. Been playing it ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, when it first came out, I was always a PlayStation guy. I still am. But yeah, I had to save up my pennies and get the Xbox just so I could play it, because it was something like crazy, like we'd never seen. Like you said, you're running around like in Star Wars talking to people, like all this stuff, because we'd had, like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter and, Rebel Assault and, stuff like that. The Episode 1 game, stuff like that.
It was really
the
first Star Wars RPG. Like, that's what it was, and it was so big.
Exactly. Now, I don't remember, Cassia, did you play it the first time on Xbox, or did you play it on the PC?
Computer, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
you never felt the pain of that giant Xbox controller.
I remember looking at that controller, and like, it's basically like, I don't know, like the size of a shoe, and like, wow. They've gotten better over the years, but yeah.
Oh yeah, well, the Xbox controller of today is like considered by a lot of experts to be the best controller. Mm-hmm. Like, in general. Like, it's really good. But yeah, the original Xbox controller. I didn't have the original Phase 1. I had the Phase 2, which was a little more
was compact. A little smaller, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little better. But those original ones that you could literally put a memory slot into, which again, they were built in, but they had memories. They did have like these memory cards, so you could transfer files and stuff, and like bring them over to your friend's house, so you could like play your file over there. But they had like those big slots for those memory cards, and that's part of why the controller was so huge, was because of those slots.
Yeah, I had the original controller because I got my Xbox. I was a starving college student at the time, so I got it as refurbished from GameStop, and it was a bundle, so it came with Halo, it came with I don't know, one of the Maddens, I think. That's football for anyone out there listening who doesn't know. And KOTOR. So I had those 3 games, and then I purchased KOTOR 2. When that came out later, and those were the only 4 games I ever had for Xbox. That was the only time I ever owned an Xbox, and then I got rid of it when we moved. I went back to the PlayStation, so I really only got it just so I could play KOTOR and KOTOR 2, which I think was probably good enough. I think that's all you need. People might be out there.
A good investment, yeah.
People might be yelling, that I didn't play Halo more, but that's okay. I was all into KOTOR.
I'll tell you what. One summer, I went down the shore. My family owned a place down there. We went down the shore for the summer, and I forgot to bring my Xbox. I forgot, and I had saved up money from cutting lawns and whatnot that summer. So or the summer before, I had some money still saved up. So I literally went to the store and bought an Xbox just so I could play KOTOR.
Oh, wow.
While I'm down the shore for the summer.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That is
a whole brand new Xbox just for that. And then I returned it when we went home.
Oh, nice. See, now that is dedication. I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot. So
I couldn't be without KOTOR. That's how addicted I was to it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. So when you're playing KOTOR, when you play it the first time, you're kind of I don't know, maybe you're not, but I would think that most people kind of try to lean towards the light side. But what about you? Are you a light side playthrough? Are you a dark side playthrough? Are you like me? Sometimes I'll set out and I'll intend to do a dark side playthrough, and then I always bail on it halfway through. I'm like, nah, I'm being too mean to people. I don't like it.
That's it. Yeah, I usually do. I have done dark side playthroughs just to do them, just to see what it's like. But 90% of all my playthroughs are light side because I'm one of those people, like you just said, that especially when I was a kid, I would feel legitimately bad, when I'm being mean to an NPC. It's just my empathy stat in real life is just too high. I just can't. I can't do it. So, most of the time I'm just light side. Unfortunately, but honestly, and this is coming from an expert, of course, because I played the crap out of this game. The best builds in KOTOR 1 are light side builds. Okay, and you can at me on that because they are, especially the consular build, huge. You could literally one shot Malik with this build. I'm not even kidding. I'll tell you about it later if you want. But,
that's cool.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Cassia? Have you ever actually played a dark side playthrough, or is it something you just have to live vicariously through people who, can be mean to all the NPCs out there?
I think sometimes I tried to do dark side, but in KOTOR 1, I would say the light and dark can be pretty extreme. So if you're going to go dark side, it's not a nuanced kind of dark side. It's kind of just evil, evilness, I mean, sometimes when you have the choice where you can turn light or dark, sometimes I'd be super light sided and then choose to turn,
Yeah.
And then in KOTOR 2, I think it's almost harder to turn to the dark side, just because it's you feel you have to save all of the masters,
Yeah.
But I was never really satisfied with the dark side. I like the light side better, so yeah.
Yeah.
Force heal is just too good,
Yeah.
But dark side in KOTOR 2 is a lot more fun though. It's a lot better because of the classes. You know how you get the upgraded classes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Sith Lord class is just broken, so it's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like Darkseid in KOTOR 2 and KOTOR 1. Like I said, I feel like a lot of the builds in KOTOR 1 are better if they're light side. But again, if you get a high charisma stat, it doesn't really matter anyway because the modifiers and whatnot.
Yeah, basically, if you can have high persuasion, high charisma, and when you can't persuade people, you can be good at like modifying droids. Like basically, you have most of everything covered, I think.
You know what I really wish? You ever play Fallout New Vegas?
Not New Vegas.
Really? Okay. So in Fallout New Vegas, if you get your charisma, like your persuasion stat high enough, you can literally talk the final boss down. Like you can talk him down to like not fight you. I wish there was a way. Yeah, I wish there was a way in KOTOR to where if you got your charisma, your persuasion high enough, you would like fight Malik for a little bit, but maybe you could persuade him to the light side or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like talk him down.
Yeah.
Like that would have been cool if they added in something like that. I know there's like this. I don't know if it was a mod that somebody did or if it was like cut content that's like lost or something, but there was supposedly they were going to put in a way to turn Malik to the light side, and he was going to like leave with you as you like escape the Starforge. So I don't know if that's like true or not. It's just like things I've seen like images of it, but it might have been just like a mod somebody did probably or whatever. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I feel like they should have maybe did something like that. But.
There was a cut content ending where you could be a dark side female that Karth could come.
Yes,
and you could die together. And I'm like, that's like so poetic and beautiful. Like, even though I think like most players right now, because like Revan was canonically male, I think like most people kind of gravitate towards a male Revan, but like I think everyone kind of agrees like that's like a tragically beautiful or beautifully tragic ending.
Mm-hmm. It was a real beautifully tragic, poetic ending in KOTOR 2, the original KOTOR 2 ending where Adin dies. I think that was like they should have left that in. Why didn't they leave that? Like, why didn't they leave that in? Like, I love Adin, don't get me wrong, but it's like that was it's like restored content, isn't it? Like somebody did a mod with the restored content, and like he has this whole spiel that he gives off as he's dying, and it's just like the most beautiful thing you ever heard in your life. Mm-hmm. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And you get that if you're playing the restored content, and I think that the restored content is kind of what they're looking at as the quote unquote like canon version of the game.
Should be honestly, because the game was rushed, and it's a shame because it could have been so much better if it wasn't rushed the way it was.
Yeah, so I just finished. I didn't do it online or anything, but I just finished a playthrough of KOTOR with the restored content. Yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about because that's pretty fresh in my mind still. So that's pretty cool. And while we're kind of on the topic of kind of what could have been or what should have been, Aspire, we mentioned them a little bit ago. They've done all of these ports and now they're doing the remake for KOTOR. Are there any like hopes and dreams that you have for that, or anything that you want to see, or things you think that they might change for the better or for the worse? But just kind of your general thoughts and hopes for that. It's been kind of, we haven't gotten a ton of information about it since kind of that initial reveal. But what are your thoughts there about the remake coming?
I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be hopeful. There's just a lot of remakes that have come out in recent time that just don't quite hit the mark. But I mean, Asper seems like a good company. I've even talked with them like on Twitter a few times. So I'm just being optimistic. I'm really hoping that they leave the core story alone. I don't want them to change anything major. They can change little story things here and there, maybe tighten up some things, whatever. But for the most part, I really do not think they should change anything about, the heart of the story, because if they do, then it's not really KOTOR, because that's what a KOTOR is at the end of the day. It's the story. It's all about that story, and it's a story that I like more than the movies. And so that, and please let HK be as brutal as he was in the original. Please, I'm so scared
what about you, Cassie? We've talked on the podcast a couple of times about the remake and what we hope, but anything from your side that you're hoping, or anything like that?
I guess running the podcast, kind of when I first started it, I think I would say like more of an orthodox KOTOR fan. Like there was only, in my view, only one way to KOTOR, but as I've kind of like, as we've, kind of covered KOTOR, we kind of like look at it from multiple perspectives, like male Revan, female Revan, light side, dark side. What if like there's a third way, like what if we kind of switch the orders of the planets, So I guess like for me, like I'm comfortable with some changes, but because to me, like the KOTOR that's canon is my head canon, and
right.
Me too.
Yeah, and we've pitched like a KOTOR trilogy that is canon in my head, and it got some Oscar noms, and and was pretty successful financially in my head, in our heads, like
that's right.
We're
living off those residuals for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the story getting in front of more eyes. But yeah, I hope they kind of keep what made KOTOR special, and it is kind of that story, because we can assume that the combat is going to change somewhat. But yeah, hopefully it at least keeps the threads of kind of that general story. But yeah, the big thing for me, I'm just excited that it's coming and it's going to get in front of a lot more people, especially people that are younger now who might. They might have people like us being like, oh, you should play this game, it's great, and then they turn it on and they're like, what is this that I'm playing? It looks weird and it acts weird. I don't understand what you expect me to do this for the next 30 hours. I don't know. So hopefully it just gets kind of in front of some new eyes who might have otherwise not been able to get into the story, because obviously us with this podcast and with your channel and your love for KOTOR, it is a story. It's a great Star Wars story. One of the best, if not the best, Star Wars stories. So I think it's just great that it's going to be getting back out there for people.
Right. I just wish they wouldn't change the combat. Honestly, a lot of people don't like the combat system in KOTOR, but I love it. Like I love the D20 system and everything.
I mean,
yeah. If they do change it, I hope that they will at least maybe. Have you guys played the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Have you played that?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Hopefully, if they do,
right?
Yeah,
like
you can do it either way.
Switch it to turn-based, like if you want, or it could be the live action. I heard somebody say it might be like God of War or something. Like, oh God, no! Like, please, it's just a completely different game than gameplay-wise. Like, it's not an RPG. Yeah. Like, it's got to have some kind of, at least an RTS element. Like, if they gave it like the combat system of Dragon Age Inquisition. That would be fine. Like, that could work perfect, And that's probably what they should do. Or, again, put in the option to switch the... You know what I mean? Because Final Fantasy VII Remake did it. They could do it.
I think either, giving you the option, or maybe you kind of meet, like, halfway in the middle. I'm not sure what the combat in the Dragon Age, but I'm thinking of, like, Parasite Eve, where it's kind of that...
I love Parasite Eve. I'm actually doing a review on Parasite Eve right now.
Where it's kind of that... It's still the turn-based RPG, sort of elements to it, but you can,
it.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So maybe something like that, maybe kind of like a half step in between. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more news on that front in the future. But one of the things we're definitely looking forward to in the remake, or going back through, or doing playthroughs, anything like that, is more of this story. And the big part of why we love this story so much is because there is a whole cast of characters in KOTOR that we love. So, Ragebox, favorite KOTOR characters. Who are they and why?
Well, hands down, number one is my man, Deadeye Duncan.
Okay, yeah.
All right, he's a legend. Course. He's a dude. No, I know you. Hey, he got off Terrace. How do you escape Terrace on your own like that? He found a way. He's a legend. But no, seriously, of course it's Revan.
Okay.
Revan's not only one of my favorite KOTOR characters, but probably my favorite Star Wars character of all time. I mean, there's no comparison. He's like a legend. And then right below him's like Exar Kun, but he's mentioned in KOTOR, but he's not in KOTOR, so I can't count him for KOTOR. But Revan, I guess Karth. I really like Karth. A lot of people don't like Karth because he's whiny, but I kind of like that about him. And you got Canderous. I love Canderous. He's great. Pretty much everybody on the main cast, but everybody on the main cast besides like Juhani. Like Juhani's okay. Like she's okay, but I don't care for her much. But like everyone else is like great. It's just the whole story. Malik's a cool villain. You know, he's got like. He's reminiscent of Vader a little bit because of the whole jaw thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that's what they were going for, and it's pulled off like perfectly. You know the scene like where he's getting his jaw like fixed up, and he turns around to like his admiral, and like his jaw's just missing, and the expression on the admiral's face is like, especially for like a 2003 game,
is spot on.
It's so spot on, and then you get a game like Andromeda where they couldn't get the faces done, like, and that game came out in like 2016 or whatever.
Right.
It's so ridiculous, but it's amazing. I love, and it's like it's little things like that is what makes KOTOR amazing. But yeah, it's really hard to really just because I could go on for hours about my favorite characters because there's so many good ones. Like even like Bendick Starkiller is like great. Like you don't even know much about him, but like they build him up so perfectly that it's like, you know, even a character that's just like a quick kill off for a quest is still just like really interesting. Even the freaking what's it, the Sand People chieftain, like he's interesting. You know, because they tell you, or no, it's the story holder, whoever he is. He like tells you the whole history of the Sand People, and like that's like the coolest thing about KOTOR is that there's like stories within stories, to where like you literally learn how Tatooine became a desert planet because of the Rakatan and how it affected the Sand People, and like it's all it's just so good. Like it created so much backstory and rich lore to the already established like universe. All KOTOR did was enrich the Star Wars universe more. Like it didn't, and it's like, and then they just erase it from canon when Disney comes along. It's like, screw you, Mickey. I don't care what you say. Like KOTOR's still canon because, like I just said, all it does is make Star Wars better. So there's no reason for it not to be canon.
We did just do an episode, 10 Reasons Why KOTOR is Totally Canon.
Yeah, that's right. I was watching it earlier.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think like. Because it's 4,000 years before, like the Skywalker timeline, I think it's still canon and becoming more canon each day. I think it's just they're waiting for the perfect time to bring it back.
Well, when the remake comes out, the remake will be canon, so that will make it canon. But the thing is, I don't even really go by Disney canon. And I could explain my reasons why, but it would probably take forever. But I don't go by Disney canon. I basically go by what George's canon was, because that's the actual canon, because he's the mythos holder. He's the one that created the whole thing. And then a little bit of my head canon, you know, with KOTOR and whatnot. But KOTOR, just like I said, it just makes the story better. You can trace the events from KOTOR all the way to the movies, because the rule of two thing that Bane invented, the reason Bane invented it was because he was inspired by Revan's holocron. So Revan inspired Bane to do the rule of two, and it was the rule of two that led up to the fall of the Republic and the movies and all that. So it's like you can literally tie it all in, and it's perfect. It's just, you know, so KOTOR's canon. I don't care what anybody says.
That's right. And yeah, I mean, when you step back away from kind of that timeline, it gives you the opportunity to tell those stories. And now, honestly, I just want to see like fan art of Deadeye Duncan like hanging on to like the landing gear of the Ebon Hawk. Like,
I want to see how he escaped. Yeah, like he says he got aboard like a Sith ship or something that was abandoned. Like he jumped aboard and then he got out of there. Like, that's just so, like, crazy, though. He's just, like, this regular old guy that, like, used to lose in the dueling ring all the time, and then he somehow... And I know it's cut content, so you could debate whether or not it's actually canon to KOTOR, but I like to believe that it's real, you know, because I always play with the restored content mod now, so...
Yeah, there you go.
He got out of there.
I love that. So, so he escapes from Terrace, and then Terrace is one of the options here. But what's your favorite KOTOR location? So you had kind of some stuff that we'd seen before in the movies and some new ones. What's your favorite spot to go visit when you're playing KOTOR?
Manon, hands down. I love Manon.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like the water levels, but I'm a water guy. I love water. Just any kind of water level in any game, I actually love it. And the music on Manon is just, I could listen to it for hours.
Yeah.
I fall asleep to it sometimes. Like, I love it. It's like, it just oozes like nostalgia and peaceful atmospheric goodness. It's amazing. And the stories on Manon, like the quests, are in my opinion some of the best quests in the game. Like with the murder trial, like that is so awesome. It's like you're literally a detective, like putting your Jedi detective skills to the test. And it's so great because when I was a kid and I played it, I thought that, Sunry was innocent. I thought he was innocent, legitimately. But it wasn't until years later that I read a forum post saying, oh, there's this secret evidence you can find, and he's actually guilty. And it blew my mind because I'm like, all these years he's actually been guilty? I do it, and what do you know? I find the recording, he's actually guilty. I was like, oh my god, like this goes so deep. It's so deep, and it's such a good quest too. Like it's just amazing. And then it's like, it's such a, I'm all about symbolism, and Manon is so symbolic of like just like the yin and yang, because which water is represents symbolically in a lot of ancient. I won't get into it, but so Manon is symbolically yin and yang, because you got the peaceful. Otho City. It's nice and peaceful. There's no fighting, really. Mm-hmm. It's just like the detective quest and stuff. And then you get to the submarine level, and it's the exact opposite. It's like chaos and fighting and craziness. So and I love that. I love that it's got that going on. And the sub-level part is just the sea base. It's so cool. Like I love it with the shark. The one scene with the shark when you meet
shark,
the guy.
isn't it?
The Phyrexian shark, when you meet the guy, and I thought that was crazy. I was like, there's actually a guy still alive down here? Like, holy shit. And then he goes out, and then he turns around, and he just gets scooped up by the shark really quick. Yeah. I love that scene.
I think Manon is one of those ones, like if you're playing KOTOR like the first time as like a kid or a teenager, it's probably like lost on you. You're like, this level's pretty boring. But yeah, if you keep playing it as you get older, you definitely start to appreciate kind of the vibes that it's putting out there, and like you said, kind of the duality of the planet, and kind of this forced peace treaty that's going on there. I know we both think pretty highly of Manon after going through our kind of story adaptation. Cassia?
Yeah.
Really? Like, you agree that they should have stayed neutral in the war?
Well, I don't know if they should have stayed neutral, but from their vantage point, neutrality serves their interests more, because they have Kolto and they can make money from both sides.
Yeah, so smart.
I can see why they do it. And to me, neutrality is an interesting storytelling option after, like, sometimes Star Wars, I mean, it's called Star Wars, not Star Peace, not Star Neutrality. But, like, it's kind of interesting where it's like they're kind of forced into this position to be neutral to get what they want, and it's kind of like where things get a little murky, And it's like these characters are kind of like, what are they willing to do to, like, win, like, the equivalent of, like, World War II? Like, can they keep their conscience clean? Like, are these light or dark side decisions? Like, so if KOTOR were ever to be adapted into a movie, like, the Manon section would be, like, my favorite.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's really fascinating part there for sure. So that's awesome. We left on some good characters, we left on some good locations, and we learned a lot about video game streaming, and talking about kind of our history with Star Wars. A bunch of really fun stuff with our guest Ragebox today. Ragebox, where can people find you? Well, first off, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate having you on. I'm glad we were able to kind of hook up and check out each other's content and get you on here, and hopefully people that are wanting to watch some good streaming content can go check you out. But where can people find you online? What do you have? Do you have anything coming up? I heard rumors that KOTOR 2 could be down the pipeline. Any update on that? But let us know anything you want to let us know.
Yeah, well, if you want to find me, just go to YouTube and type Ragebox in the search bar. I'll come right up. If you want to find me on YouTube, I got Facebook, Twitter. It's all Ragebox. As for upcoming stuff, I got Season 2 of Let's Play KOTOR coming. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. So I'm currently working on that. Like I said earlier, I got a Parasite Eve review. It's not really a review, but I have this series called Should It Be Remade, where I talk about a game and if it should get a remaster, like why it should, if it's even possible, yada yada. So episode 3 of Should It Be Remade, I'm going to be talking about Parasite Eve and if that's going to get a remake, or if it should. Spoilers, it definitely should.
Definitely.
Yeah, but that's about it. So yeah, just Ragebox, search it up on YouTube. I'll come right up. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been fun. I hope I can come on for a future episode. We can chat more about KOTOR, because as you guys could probably tell, I could chat about it for eons. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we'll be getting some more news here as kind of some of the video game conventions and press conferences and stuff start to take hold. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more information.
I heard
regarding
September
that.
we might get more news from Asper in September is what I heard. So
okay,
we'll
perfect. Well, fingers crossed for that. And then love to have you back on sometime. So thanks so much for coming on. Go check out Ragebox on YouTube. Watch some playthroughs and let us know what games we should be playing on the Twitch channel, and come check that out too. So thanks everyone for hopping on. Cassia, why don't you sign us off?
And may the Force be with us all.
Always.